Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Moores. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Ready to dive
That's
into
good.
things.
Yes. And we have a lot of topics to get into today, as usual. And to start it off, Friday night, UMBC had pretty much the greatest upset in tournament history against Virginia. And in that game, the first half especially, they were able to match their defensive intensity, holding Virginia to 21 points, and then shooting extremely well from the perimeter. And this is a school that was very low in the offensive and efficient in defensive in defensive efficiency rankings, and Virginia doesn't give up a lot of points, and they gave up 74, and they hadn't given up 70 the entire season, even against teams like Duke and North Carolina, and Jairus Lyles also had a big game, but they go in the lore of great upsets, Buster Douglas, Joe Namath, the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, and it was a very dominant performance. What were your thoughts on it?
What a game, man. I love
Yeah,
the March Madness. It's called March Madness for a reason. You have a team in UMBC that no one thought they'll ever beat the number one seed. Well, yeah, the number one seed Virginia out of ACC. I had Virginia winning it all. They were so successful, and I don't know, man. The game was phenomenal. They came out, they punched them in the mouth. The 3-point shooting by the big guy, number 13, and just all around effort and
right.
resiliency of UMBC, man, that wins ball games. They didn't just beat Virginia, they killed Virginia. The
Yeah.
energy level of UMBC was so different than
The
Virginia. Virginia was
disparage
like,
was
okay,
so stark.
what's happening? Is the is the resurrection happening? Is Jesus coming back? What are we doing, man? Like it's really crazy. But UMBC showed that any team can beat any team when it comes to the the tournament, the March Madness, man, and live up to expectations. UMBC is headed. They're in the Sweet 16. They have the opportunity to play even further, man. I'm excited about it. 20 points on the number one team.
Yeah,
That was chose to win it all, man. That's crazy. Big ups to
yeah,
UMBC.
yeah, and it definitely was. I mean, 135 and 0. That was the ranking for one seeds in this position, and it's just the thought never crossed your mind. Well, I mean, eventually with these upsets, it's going to happen eventually. In terms of this upset, like compared to other sports, like what does it remind you of? Like what kind of upsets does it remind you of?
The one that comes to my mind, I don't know, not even an upset, just the comeback. We keep saying it, it's recurring. It will never get old. The Atlanta Falcons and the New England
Yeah,
Patriots, they're coming back from 28-3. Man, I don't know, man. It resembles that. It resembles um, the play with the New England Patriots and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, them not running and throwing, and they get intercepted by Malcolm Butler. Man, it's just things that you think will never happen happens in sports, and it always takes to the last minute. Man, this is a miracle. This is definitely up there because we didn't. Nobody expected UMBC. I know everybody's bracket went haywire. Like,
yeah, it was
well,
crushed.
going back to the drawing board, just ripping papers, throwing it out.
Yeah,
Look, yeah, well, wait till next year. But
yeah,
man, outstanding for UMBC, man.
yeah,
Outstanding job from those guys.
and I mean, Virginia was without their six man of the year, DeAndre Hunter, and in terms of their offense, they just could not generate a lot of offense. And the UMBC shot 67% from the field and held
Mm-hmm.
Virginia to 42% in the second half. So I mean, they were lights out on both sides of the ball, and that was something that was very surprising.
Yeah, 3-point shooting helped UMBC
Yeah, definitely.
greatly. Yeah.
Um, uh, I think Thursday night, two four seeds lost, I believe, or two 13 seeds won, I should say, with Buffalo and and Marshall defeating Wichita State, and it was a
Arizona.
loss with. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Buffalo lost Saturday, but still, even with those two upsets were kind of the beginning points that were very surprising. And um, Wichita State had about they out rebounded Marshall, but you had a lot of turnovers, and Marshall scored 22 points off of those turnovers. And then with Buffalo and Arizona, Arizona had arguably the most physically gifted big man and DeAndre Ayton, and he was kind of limited. I mean, had 14 points, 13 rebounds, but still was didn't have the supreme dominant performances like he usually does. And with all the speculation and all the controversy, you wonder if maybe they didn't respond to it in the the right manner. And in terms of those two losses, kind of starting off the tournament, which one surprised you more?
I think the Arizona game surprised me more, even with the what they're facing with the allegations of their head coach and what's surrounding the school. I know it's negativity, but I thought Arizona will go in there with a clear mind and make it further. I think they did make it to the Sweet 16, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
No. Yeah, they made it to. Well, I knew that much is going to make it to Sweet 16 because they have a credible talent basketball team. But to lose to Buffalo, which is a 13 seed, those kind of games are up in the air. I'm not taking anything from Buffalo, but Arizona, like I was impressed with Arizona all throughout, even before the allegations of the coach of the scandal and stuff. They played great sound basketball, and to come out, they're allowing the 3-point line to not be covered. It's up in the air. You're throwing your hands up like when it gets to the March Madness or the tournament, like all the expectations I think should just go out the window. Whatever you saw in the
right.
regular season, out the window. It's different. This is a different monster. Teams play 110% better, not 300% better. It's different. So now I'm looking at, okay, Virginia lost, the team that I had winning. I had Arizona going further than the Sweet 16, and they lose to Buffalo. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. Arizona, I just don't know. I really don't. Because this
Right.
year, I know every single year we have upsets or whatever, but this year, I am tired, Wellington.
And North Carolina just lost, by the way. Yeah.
I saw that. Kentucky's still
Yeah.
in there, which is a
Yes.
surprise to me. Kentucky's still
Yeah.
in there, which is a
And that's
surprise.
so interesting. I was about to talk about that because yesterday I'm like, man, we were just talking about a few episodes ago. Like, does this is this one of the worst Kentucky teams ever? They can make a run. Like this Kentucky team can make a run with Gilgis Alexander, Diallo, Kevin Knox, being such a great mid-range shooter. This is a young team that's growing up right before our eyes, which it's kind of following the thread of most Kentucky teams.
Yeah, and then they'll have out of Kansas State and UMBC. Both of those teams are good in their own right, but I don't know, man. I don't think Kentucky make it past that round
So you think they'll fall to UMBC, or I mean, or
or
Kansas State? I
Kansas.
mean, yeah.
Either one. I don't know who's going to win on the 18th. I'm not going to speculate
Mhm.
because I've been wrong this whole tournament. Even my Florida Gators lost. Ah, oh,
Yeah,
jeez,
and
man.
they had a lot of multiple looks at the end. I mean,
They did. They did.
they really had an opportunity to tie that game and send it to overtime, but just were it was not able to go down.
Yeah, they didn't capitalize on the many opportunities they had in the late, in the second half. Man, you have to every minute, every second, every pass, every dribble counts in the tournament. When you don't capitalize, you lose. And
And
it's
and, and with yeah, and with Wichita State, them having 15 turnovers, do you think that was kind of the thing? Because they went on 11-1 run near the end of the first half. Do you think it was one of those things where, look, Marshall scored 27 points off of that? Do you think that was kind of maybe the decider of the game?
it's probably up there the list. You can still win on 15 turnovers if you play defense after those turnovers. If you run down the court, you play defense, you play traditional defense, you make up for it. But if you allow 27 points off those 15 turnovers, then of course that's going to play a role into the deciding factor who wins the game, who wants it more. If a team can make you turn it over 15 times, something's wrong with your arithmetic of how to play basketball and how to win
Yeah.
games. So that I definitely think it played a role. And then the 3-point shooting Wichita State did not have in that game. Usually Wichita State is draining from the 3-point line. I didn't see that in a game. Maybe it's because of the 15 turnovers. I don't know, but I mean, you can still. I believe
Yeah,
you still win off 15 turnovers. We've seen it before.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we even seen it in the NBA. There are
Yeah.
teams that are erratic with the ball, and they still end up winning the game. Um, Two teams to me that I think they've looked really good. One being Villanova. I think Villanova before the tournament, I thought they were going to win it all.
Of course. We talked. We
No,
talked about Villanova have, like being the most consistent team
yeah, and I really
ever.
bought into it.
That's why. That's why I said of course. It's the most
Yeah,
consistent team in the yeah.
yeah, and with their balance of Jalen Brunson, I think he's just a textbook player, a point guard who like Jay Wright joked that hey he may even be smarter than me in some instances. Obviously, Jay Wright's a phenomenal head coach, but that's high praise for a point guard. Then Mikal Bridges hitting I believe hit 5 threes and scored 23 points against
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, where the first half it was close, but then they just blew it away in the second half. And then Duke also had a solid performance with, and I know you've kind of been a little skeptical on Duke. I don't know how you're feeling about them now, but their inside game with Wendell Carter Jr. and Bagley, and also their perimeter game were both strong. And when both those are strong, they're about as good as any team in the in 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 the entire tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of those two teams, maybe there are some other teams that you're liking because I know Michigan had a crazy miracle win last night. But out of the teams that are left, is there a team you're feeling really confident in?
I'm gonna pick the underdog. I mean, Duke and other teams are fine and then we see them every year. But I like Loyola Chicago.
Hmm.
I like
Yeah,
those guys. I like those guys because they're just I'm sorry, the spacing on the floor, the extra passing that they do, the unselfish basketball team, man. I went back and watched a couple of games before in the tournament. I saw the selfish. They passed the ball a lot, like the Hoosiers pass 5 or 6 times, and then you score. And then it's the inside outside game with the freshman big man Cameron Krutwig. The guy
right.
is a beast.
Yeah,
Who are these guys? Like it makes you look at them in a different like, oh, I should have, been paying attention to more because in the
that's always
regular
the feeling
season,
I have in the tournament. There's always some player where I'm like, why did I not pay attention to this guy more? Like, why is he like coming on the scene, now?
right? And and the tournament is just highlights everybody like, oh man, what is all these teams coming out of nowhere? Loyola, Chicago, what
Yeah,
is this? What is this? But continue on, they have the top 5 defense. They only allow 62 points a game, 41% shooting to other teams. And I don't know the balance. They have the balance on the bench, man. They have a bench. They have players to come off the bench and play defense, play their roles, and that's why they beat Tennessee on the buzzer beater. But before that, they beat Miami. They beat different teams. So that's my sleeper. I want them to go all the way because they have. I think I forgot her name, but she's the sister Jean, the chaplain, team chaplain.
yeah. The 98-year-old chaplain.
Yeah,
She went
she's
viral.
adorable. She's adorable. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can say
And
that
she
about
was saying, look,
others,
you
but
this is basic. Don't be intimidated by Tennessee. You're gonna out rebound them. You're just better than everything at them. I'm like,
right.
she's just so simplistic about it.
They're the Cinderella story, man. Uh-oh. They're the Cinderella story, and that's why like I love underdogs. They have this sweet lady and Sister Jean and the chaplain, and then they just have the all around how to and want to beat teams. And I love unselfish basketball. I love passing. I love the top 5 defense, only allowing 68 points a game, which is pretty darn good, man. That's my team. I like those guys. I don't know who you're gonna pick, but I love Loyola, Chicago.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go overall with Villanova,
Right.
um, just because
Respect, yeah.
I know it's maybe overstated, but two of the biggest things in the tournament are talent and experience. Villanova has both those things, and they're balanced. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and like we said, anything can happen in this tournament. Really, nothing really at this point would surprise me because from what we've seen, there have been a ton of a ton of upsets, and it's just been unpredictable, like March Madness usually is. But I
Right.
still have a lot of confidence in Villanova, and it should be interesting to see how things play out.
So do you think I think West Virginia will come out with the win against Marshall. So you think they'll beat experienced West Virginia
That's
team?
that is going to be probably their toughest matchup, because West Virginia they're so stingy defensively,
Yeah,
and Javon Carter is just, I mean, All American, stud defender and a capable scorer too when he needs to be. And
yeah.
so for me that's going to be that he's going to really test Brunson, Jalen Brunson, and that is going to be a very grimy matchup, I think,
Yeah.
because West Virginia, they're going to make, like, this is the thing with West Virginia and Virginia that Virginia didn't do against UMBC, is that they didn't dictate the pace. UMBC dictated the pace, and then Virginia tried to shoot from the perimeter more. They started to be erratic, and
Mhm.
um and it didn't look like they were setting the pace, and that's what they usually do, even against teams like North Carolina, Duke, holding them below 70 and making and implementing, look, this is the pace we're going to set, you're going to have to acquiesce to our pace, and that's not what that's not what occurred on Friday night.
Well, we shall see. I'm
Yeah,
not taking anything from Marshall, but I think West Virginia will come out on top on that one.
yeah, it definitely should be interesting. Do they play today, West Virginia and Marshall?
Wow. They play on the 18th,
Okay, which is
which
today.
is today. Yeah, which is today. Yeah,
um
they play at 9:40 on TBS.
okay. Um, a plug for TBS. um, uh, Transitioning to the NBA, the Golden State Warriors have had multiple injuries in the last couple of
Yes.
weeks, starting with Steph and his right ankle injury, spraining that, and then um, Steph had a about as epic of a birthday party you can have. I don't know if you saw the footage, and then Clay, it probably was before that, but Clay broke his thumb. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks,
Yep.
and then um, Kevin Durant had a rib injury, and Draymond Green with the shoulder soreness. And some people were saying, like, well, why was Clay, still able to go to a party, be so engaged, but like, these are professional athletes. They know how to deal with their own injuries. But with all of this, with all the toll taking on them, the last 4 years they've been playing in late June, and
Mhm.
all this, there's an accumulation of what's been going on. Are you concerned about the injuries, or do you feel as though if they get healthy, that's all that really matters for them heading to playoffs?
Yeah, I think if they get healthy, nothing else matters. But you have three starters out, and then that's when you look to your bench. And then you look on your bench, you have Patrick McCaw is injured, but I think he comes back in 2 games. Then you have Amir Caspi. I think I'm saying that right. He's injured.
Omri,
Omri, thank you.
yeah,
Omri Caspi is injured. So you have 6 players that are injured. No, 5. Well, yeah, I don't really count Draymond because Draymond's still playing.
yeah, he's still
Um,
playing.
yeah. So he had 5.5. Draymond's not 100%, but that's taxing on your squad. They're not. I mean, they're still winning ball games, but at some point you have to realize the wear and tear that this team is having from being, like you said, postseason in June and playing for a title every single year, not having a break that other players and other teams have. So you have your starting point guard, your starting small forward, and your starting shooting guard. You have your center that's injured. If they get healthy, then everything is forgiven.
Yeah,
But do we know how long it will be? Will it reoccur in the playoffs in the postseason? Would it kind of hinder them from going deep into the playoffs? I don't think their bench is enough. I think Andre Iguodala is a great ball player. They still have Sean Livingston. They still have David West, but those guys are not Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, the guys that put you into the postseason, the guys that won the game for you against a well organized opponent in the Cavaliers and LeBron James. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting what will happen, to be honest, if they can be completely healthy. Do they need to sit out a
Yeah.
couple games? Do they need to pose the question? Do they need to sit out a
The,
couple
the,
games, or do they need
it,
rest?
it, the, the one seed doesn't matter anymore. Like that's out the
Yeah,
window. They don't they're not going after that because I feel as though a couple years ago, what Golden State learned, even I mean on their 73 when they broke the record all time wins record was records in the regular season. They're I mean that was historical and going after that is great because that is history. That is something that may never be broken again. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. And
not at
it's
all.
about winning. It's about winning championships. And I feel as though at one point they hit a wall, and I'm not taking anything away from their from Cleveland, but at one point I feel as though they hit a wall, and there are a lot of time they were already playing playoff basketball in like late March because they were trying to sustain, get that record. And sometimes that can take a toll on players. And I think Steve Kerr has done a phenomenal job of being like, look, let's just rest, guys. Let's wait for the playoffs. Let's make another run because that's really, I feel like that's what this team is like waiting for. This
Yeah,
entire season, they've been fighting like boredom. Like, I mean, there's a difference between complacency and boredom, and like they've just been. It really looks that way. It really looks like they've just been going through the motions, and they're just ready to make make a postseason run. And,
that.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
No, 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 no. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna like input. That's an interesting way to put it. What I said, like it's complacent. They're bored. They're bored.
Maybe I shouldn't say. Uh, Maybe I shouldn't say bored, but just
They're
um,
bored with the OKC team, Houston Rockets team. They're bored with those,
it's
or just like other
oh
teams
no no
that
no
they.
no no. This is what I'm saying. When it comes to certain teams, yes, they're going to get up for that game. Like we saw it against Houston, we saw it against OKC. We see it against elite caliber teams. But I'm saying there is a thing where when you've been through a 4 year run, you're bored with the process of it because a lot of times
Okay.
you know that the regular season is not the thing that is going to define your team. Like like okay, we need to get to the postseason healthy and make another run. So it may be just I should say a complacency thing, because I mean they're going to play at a high level. They're not going to cheat the process in any way because they wouldn't be at the level they're at if they were cheating the process.
I got you. I just had to, get some clarification for the fans out there, the
Oh yeah, yeah.
listeners, the viewers.
These are
That's it.
professionals. They have a very the way they make a living is very nice. Just
Yeah,
put in ball in the basket.
to say the least.
But so overall, in terms of everything, I mean, are you not really concerned, or are you still? Because the one I'm most concerned about is Steph's injury. The ankle injury, that can be
Yeah.
very problematic because he's had a history of that.
It was interesting. Shannon Sharp said something. He had a comment about Kevin Durant. He said that's why he left OKC because if Kevin, he can't. In so many words, he said Kevin Durant can't lead a team. If he could, he would have never left OKC. And I don't think that's true at all. I think they
Yeah, I
can.
don't. I'd argue to
Golden
disagree.
State can win without Steph Curry. They've done it before in the regular season. I think they could beat a team without Steph Curry. Um,
Maybe
I
not
don't
a
think they could.
finals.
I think so. They can't beat a team without Kevin Durant, though. They can't.
Yeah,
If you look,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No,
Let me
I'm
hear
just
it.
saying it's so different without Steph out there. Like
Mm,
he's such a game changer for them, and I love and for me when both of them are out, I mean not both of them are, but one of them is out. It's always fascinating to see them just take over games, like them be able to do what they've always done, and like look, I can be great singer, just in a single position. without this other former MVP. Because like we saw it without Steph, KD had a couple triple doubles. He was carrying the team. Then without KD, Steph went on a 13. I mean, they went on a 13 game winning streak last year. And there are separated instances where they just go on these phenomenal stretches, by themselves without the other.
Yeah, but there's always a but. But if
Right.
Kevin Durant was not on the Golden State Warriors basketball team last year in the finals, the Cavaliers would have beat them in a 7-game series. That's a fact.
You do remember that they had a 3-1 lead against them without without him.
Without Steph Curry?
I mean without KD.
But that's the thing. And then it came back. They didn't have
Right.
that extra cherry on the top. And then before the year before Kyrie Irving went out, they were getting mollywopped. Kyrie was sticking Stephen Curry. So
yeah, I just still feel as though they would have
wow.
They would have won. I really do.
They would have not won.
Maybe not the
He's the MVP of the finals for a reason. Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This past year, definitely, that is just so hard to. I mean, yeah, you definitely do have some valid points there. It's tough. I mean, they're very very fortunate to have a player of his caliber in terms of what. Yeah, in terms of what happened this past year, because that's what LeBron said. That was the difference. Like like they asked him what is the difference, and he said it's Kevin Durant.
Exactly. That's just they had oozing of goodness coming out of the report because of Kevin Durant. But I digress.
Yeah, but it definitely should be interesting to see how that plays out. Andrew Wiggins was reportedly, I think last week, he had a radio interview and this rumor went through that he was telling teammates that he was kind of upset being the third option ever since Jimmy Butler came in, and Wiggins is taking the most shots of any player on the team. He's also the least efficient scorer, shooting 44% from the floor, 32% from deep, and that's why I'm kind of confused with what he possibly could be upset with. He said that this report was not true, and he's glad with the direction this team is headed into, and I think he has a 5-year, 148 million contract that he's still under. So in terms of him being the third option and maybe his unhappiness with it, reported unhappiness with it, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like you said, he threw it in the dirt and he shoveled with sand on it. He let the record know his quote is just someone's word of mouth. It wasn't no quote from me, said Wiggins, according to Jerry Zaga of the Minnesota Star Tribune. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows me. I don't talk much. I just go with the flow. I don't whisper. If I say something, I'm going to say it clearly and loudly. And he was backed by his coach. It's like, why would he say anything? He shoots the most of any player on our basketball team.
I don't really know why.
I don't know if that was a shot or not, but get it, pun intended, because he takes shots.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
subtle.
But no, even his coach was like, he takes the most shots. I don't get EB at half. He's fine. But from last year to this year is a big decrease. Last year he had a phenomenal season, averaging 23 points, being the star guy. Still had Karl Anthony Towns, but he was more efficient last year. This year, like you said, 44% from the field, 32 behind the arc. It's kind of depressing. You take multiple shots. So he's still a good player. I'm not going to say great, but him being a third option, I don't believe so. I think everyone has their position that they play. But I think Andrew Wiggins could be a star on anybody's basketball team, and that's a fact. I wish he could have played with LeBron James. I think that would have been great for him, but they traded him for Kevin Love. Yeah.
Every time I see Minnesota play Cleveland, I just always think we never saw a LeBron Andrew Wiggins fast break. We're never going to see one. Yeah, I mean, it could have happened, but they felt as though Love was the better option.
They wanted the love, man. They wanted love. which was a better fit for them because they needed a versatile big man who could shoot the three, who could rebound, not play great defense, but okay defense.
And
But
lock
they needed
down
that.
two and lock down unanimous MVP in the finals in that last possession in Game 7. I mean, I think some people forget, but there was the block, there was the shot, but that possession where he was on an island against Steph, and
Yeah,
his footwork was incredible, and he stayed with him and made him take an extremely difficult contested shot.
this is true. I don't remember that. That was a good one.
Yeah, yeah, but the yeah, the Timberwolves skill in the thick of things with the playoff race, are they five now or four?
For the Wolves,
Yeah, the Timberwolves.
I think they're number 4 or 5. I swear.
Four, okay.
Yeah, I don't have
Well,
my notes on it.
okay. Julius Randle for the Lakers, he's been playing very well as of lately since late December. He's averaging 18.4 points and 9 rebounds since coming into the starting lineup, and he had a really good game against the Cavs last Sunday, 36 points, and I believe 20 rebounds, right? Um,
12
maybe
rebounds.
okay, 12,
12
12
rebounds. Yeah.
rebounds. That I was I was really giving him more, but yeah, he's been playing at a very phenomenal level for them, and with this upcoming offseason of them going after two max free agents, there's the thing of he may have to be the one that goes, and
Mm.
it's almost like he's showing, hey, like you may not want to because I may be a good addition with these two max free agents. Do you feel as though they should keep him, or they still have to go after those two max free agents?
I think they should keep him. He's only $5 million on the cap. I think they can keep him because he can be a starter in the starting five. He can also come off the bench like he's doing now. He's a versatile big guy. He can stretch the court. He can shoot beyond the arc a little bit. He can shoot under, before the arc. He can make things happen in the offense. And he's only $5 million on your cap. And then if you're trying to get another big man, I don't think they need another big man. I think they need some guys who are seasoned who can score the basket. And you have Kuzma still there. I think you keep Julius Randle, get rid of Luol Deng, get rid of another small guy. You keep him though, because if they need a power forward, they need a big guy. They have Lopez, and then the free agency, Julius Randle is restricted. Aaron Gordon is restricted. Nikola Mirotic is restricted. Derek Favors is unrestricted. Thaddeus Young. Dirk Nowitzki is his contract is up. These already got Michael Beasley, guys that you don't want to go get. There's nobody out there that is good enough for you to get in
Right.
the free agency on the power forward. I think you keep him. I think he's a good asset. He's showing that he
Yeah,
still can play basketball.
and he's of a very small list of players averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds per 36 minutes this season. Along the list is Cousins, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Enes Kanter, Kevin Love, Bobby Portis, Karl Anthony Towns, and Nikola um, Vjovic. And I mean, he is still a very valuable big, and that's something that they're going to have to try to um, see. Do they want to trade away a young valuable big, especially in today's NBA?
Yeah. And he has so much potential that's still untapped. And I think he gets with the right head coach. And I think he thrives. For him, LA is not a good place. I mean, him and Isaiah had their little quarrel for a little bit, but they can be a powerhouse. They can be a dynamic duo. Lonzo can continue to progress and be a better point guard. He needs to learn how to shoot better. I just don't like his shot, but he's a point guard. We talked
He's
about this
improved.
multiple times. Yeah, he's improved, but I want to see him dominate. I want to see him be a dominant point guard who can do other things and facilitate. He has to be more accurate with his shot. But I think those guys can work. Who do you bring in? Bring in Paul George? I don't know if Paul George is going to leave. We don't know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. who else are you going to get in the free agency that's worth paying them big dollars so you can get back into the glory days that you once were? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is, and there's ton of, I mean, well, maybe not as much as 2019 in terms of the free agency options, because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of guys available in 2019, but there still are obviously some very um, valuable free agents out there. Transitioning to the NFL, the Houston Texans on Friday night signed Tyrann Mathieu to a 1 year, 7 million deal, and that is something that they really needed with their defense in terms of their secondary really struggling. He's very valuable in that position. And this is a team where we saw with Deshaun Watson, they were very, very competitive in the beginning of the season, then, kind of wilted away as he had a season-ending injury. Do you feel as though this is a move that can, I mean, I feel as though it's a move that can have a significant impact on this team, and he could be with them long term, you know, um, in his prime. Do you feel as though it can really jumpstart this team?
It's crazy that Tyrann goes from a 5 year, $62.5 million, 19 million guaranteed that he signed in 2016. Now he's with a 1 year contract for $7 million. And
Right.
he's only what, 24, 25? No, he's a young guy. He's not been in the league too long. I know he's been injured, had a couple injuries that nagged him. He didn't want to take a pay cut with the Cardinals. But I do think this is a great pickup for the Houston Texans defense. They get rid of Brian Cushing. You have older guys that in the tail end of their career with Kareem Jackson and Jonathan Joseph. And they also brought a guy from the Jaguars. I think his name is Aaron Colvin. They want to beef up the defense again. They want to get back. Jadeveon Clowney is living up to expectations from his years of being the first round pick. JJ Watt comes back. I think is a great move because Tyrann Mathieu can play strong safety, free safety. And he also play cornerback if need be. But he's an excellent tackler. He comes up, he can read the defense. He has quick feet. He has eyes for the ball. I think it's a great pickup for Houston Rockets and their defense getting back to the old glory days. Oh, Houston Rockets. I'm sorry,
Rocket.
Houston Texans. I'm sorry.
I'm
First of
sorry.
all, I'm looking at a poster
You're
of
thinking you're thinking about the Rockets. They're your finals pick. Just be
no,
honest. You're thinking
no.
about them.
I was looking at a James Harden poster, man, and I saw the Rockets. Houston Texans. I'm sorry, Houston Texans. Forgive me. The Houston Texans. I think it's a great pickup for the Houston Rockets and the Texans. It's a great pickup for the city, baby.
Yeah,
It's
James
two
Harden
of
and
the
Chris Paul
top
love it. They love
players.
it. They're gonna come to more games.
Nick Van is my favorite. I don't know why I just did that, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a great pickup for him. Then they can see where he's at coming off the injuries. Can he still go? 1 year is a good um, a tester for both parties involved. I think we see big
It,
things. Deshaun
it,
Watson
it,
coming back. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
yeah. And they were number two in passing yards. But they allowed. I mean, they're ranked 20. They were ranked 24th this past season in terms of the number of yards, number of passing yards they allowed. And I mean, he played every game in 2017, and that had been the first time since 2013 that he had that sustainability, and he has an impact on every possession usually. I mean, he's that type of that impact player. But do you think along with J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, he can have is that enough on the defensive end to buffer that defense, or do you think obviously there maybe need to be another some more moves?
Possibly, but I think right now, I think they'll go in a draft with the mindset of drafting a defensive players. Last year they got Deshaun Watson. Uh, they still have DeAndre Hopkins. They still have Fuller, who's had a great season last year, making big touchdowns for them. I think they go in the city. They need to replace Brian Cushing at the middle linebacker position. But right now, I think it's a great move. They don't. I don't think they should do anymore. I think they should wait it out. I think they should put their money into either the trade deadline next year and into the draft. But the Houston Texans defense is not bad. Don't get me wrong. They're pretty good. They were 12th in rush defense, but they're in the pass defense. They were 24th, allowing 237 average yards a game. So adding Tyrann Mathieu to a well-seasoned, experienced, but old secondary kind of helps them out in that department. But given
Right.
they needed some help, that's why they got Tyrann, but the Honey Badger. But right now, I think it's a
Yes.
good move. They go get a middle linebacker. They go to get a couple of D tackles, and they'll be fine. They will be fine. DJ Reader is a good nose tackle. Maybe get another defense in, maybe. I'm not sure, but hey, who am I to say, right? Well, they still got
Yeah.
Kevin Johnson too, so I mean that's a good pickup.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I definitely feel like though that was a significant move for their defense. The Kirk Cousins in case Keenum moved to different teams. Cousins moves to Minnesota. I mean a contender that was in the NFC Championship, and also Case Keenum goes to Denver, and both are you know mobile quarterbacks and quarterbacks that can have an impact. But in terms of the impact, which one do you feel as though can have a bigger one? Because you said with Kirk Cousins, when he's locked in, he can be really good. But the inconsistency in Washington, that was kind of the question of can he really be consistent? And then with Keenum, he had this storybook year in Minnesota, but that ended in a tough loss.
Well, looking at the talent meter for both teams, for the Broncos and the Minnesota Vikings, I think the better choice of quarterback and the better positioning that they got from each quarterback, I think I'll give the lean to the Vikings only because the talent wise, not in the quarterback, but what you already have solidified in your offense. You get Dalvin Cook back, who's going to have an amazing season last year. Then he got prone to an injury. And then you still have Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. You still have Laquan Treadwell, who's a big time player out of the draft. I think it was 13 or 14 from Ole Miss. He still has valuable. You still have Kyle Rudolph, who's the great tight end. He's top 5 tight end. And
Yeah.
your defense, they have a steady defense. So looking at Kirk Cousins doesn't have to do much. Kirk Cousins had weapons when he was with the Redskins. I think the defense kind of foreshadowed what the Redskins could do because Redskins did put up points last season. I'm not going to take anything from the offense. No, they didn't have a big running game, but they had weapons on the tight end position, of the slot, wide receiver. So Kirk Cousins going, and he picked a great situation and available talent for himself. Not, he's a smart guy. He chose where he wanted to go. He chose a team where he doesn't have to rebuild. They already got talent spread across the board. I give it to Vikings. Kirk Cousins hasn't done much. All he has to do is be consistent enough to win games. We saw the Vikings can win games. They add the running game back with Dalvin Cook. I mean, Jared McKinnon did a great job in the passing and rushing abilities as a running back, but Dalvin Cook is a different monster. And if he's completely healthy, we've seen it with Florida
Yeah.
State, he could be a force to be reckoned with. But I give it to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings because of who they have.
Yeah, and I feel as though the weapons around Kirk Cousins, it suits him better to
Yeah.
to be successful. And that's kind of the thing because when you have defense like Minnesota and you have a talented running back and you have really good slot receivers and all of those things around him, now it's just up to Kirk Cousins to enhance that because what they really needed, and the thing is, it's going to be like, okay, is this what we were missing? Like, was the quarterback position what we were missing when we were trying to make a Super Bowl run, or was it the fact that our defense wasn't as good as we thought it was? Because for most of the season they were phenomenal, but just got torched by a Philly team that was on a run. And do you feel as though that there's more pressure on Cousins to fulfill like what he's been given, or do you feel as though it's going to take some time for him to adjust to a new team?
I think you pose great questions, Wellington. Those are two excellent questions. Kirk Cousins is a smart guy. He knows,
Yeah.
he reads the playbook, he reads defense as well. Sometimes he's not as accurate as I want him to be, but the pressure is definitely on. You you really stole money from the Redskins for 2 years
Right.
by doing a transition tag, franchise tag, and then you opt out and you want to go to a new team, and then you get the max money you can get, which is great for him. He's a smart guy, but the pressure is on for what they did last season with three quarterbacks. Um, Sam Bradford going down, but they turn to Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater coming back. And then they go for the run. They lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, which I thought was not going to happen because Minnesota defense is playing all cylinders. But he's smart enough to pick up on a new offense. He's been here before. He faced adversity by being the backup quarterback, getting drafted with another quarterback in Robert Griffin, and kind of winning out the situation because of injuries and other off-field things that I won't go into. But the
Mm.
pressure is definitely on for him. He has to come in. He has to be focused. He has to understand this is not the Redskins. You're on a different coach, a defensive mind coach, mind you, and you have to be diligent. You have to understand that, hey, this is a different monster. The expectations are high for the Minnesota Vikings now. But I think they draft a couple more wide receivers for him. Maybe even a tight end. I don't think they'll draft a running back. They already got traded Simeon from Broncos, which is ironic. Uh, but they'll draft defense more. I think they'll get two more defensive tackles and maybe a safety. But Minnesota Vikings, yeah, the pressure is
Yeah.
definitely high for Kirk Cousins. He has to
Yeah,
deliver.
definitely. Yeah, and between the two, I would think I would say Kirk Cousins is the one that I think can have more of an impact. Um, our last topic for today is Nate Solder's move to um, the Giants, and the left tackle position is extremely crucial in the league. It always has been, always going to be one of the most important positions. And Brady and the Patriots, I mean, it's been Matt Light, Nate Solder. Solder has started 95 of 112 games ever since he was taken in the 2011 draft, and this past week he agreed to a deal with the Giants for 4 years, 34.8 million, and it could be as worth as much up to 62 million, and it's a very important position. And now, the Patriots have a hole in it, but for the Giants position, um, and what they acquired, it's for I mean, it's really significant. What were your thoughts on it?
I think it was a good move for the Giants, to be honest, because I think the offensive line was a big problem for them last year.
Yeah,
Signing a veteran like Nate Soldier has a significant upside for your offense, and like you said, left tackles are extremely valuable and well needed for a starting quarterback. I don't know if Eli Manning is going to be the starting quarterback this year or someone else, but having that guy who's blocked for one of the best, the I would say the greatest quarterback who ever played football, Tom Brady.
yeah,
I mean, that's something to hold on to. Like, hey, we got one of the best left tackles in the game, besides Joe Thomas, who actually retired, I think a week ago. So I think he's the number one left tackle now. I think it was Joe Thomas in my order of top three: Joe Thomas, uh, Trent Williams, and then Nate Soldier. But now I think Nate Soldier will take that position because Joe is retiring. So the Browns,
yeah,
oh man, I know they're mad. I know the Browns are upset about that, but he's gave his time and he's invested enough for the team. But that's off subject. But I think it was a great move. But I think they need more. They definitely need more to be a
yeah.
contender in the NFC.
Yeah, because it's quarterback questions also with Manning. How long is he going to play? And he's kind of have to Soldier kind of has to be a leader now, because you've got a younger, maybe an inexperienced offensive line that wasn't as good last year, and he kind of has to be that, the leader and vocal and focal point of that offensive line, and it definitely should be something that can help it. But like you said, they still need much more to be competitive in the NFC East and in the NFC. Um, it was
Mm.
great talking. Say it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just looking at their uh their lineup. But no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Oh, if you have anything to add, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. I was just looking at their offensive line, and yeah, they definitely need a Nate Soldier. That's how I was going to answer
Yeah,
it. No, you're fine.
yeah. Well, it's always good talking to you as usual, man.
Yeah, man. Always, man. I love this time we get to chat about specific sports, not all sports, but specific sports.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that wraps it up for today. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This is Full Scope. See you later.